So first off here, I wanted to explain forced duress, where you're already being coercively controlled through hacking, manipulation, proxy warfare, poisoning, just multiple assassination attempts, covertly to now overtly, where I wasn't always able to see it for where it was coming from or how it was being done, and now that I am, the only thing that they've done is amped up their games against me, and it's utilizing very crooked officials to be able to suggest that I don't know what I'm talking about or I don't have an actual story here, but I'm being coerced into duress based on performance of jobs going under based on being poisoned in that fashion. So within that arrangement of being coerced into control and then also coerced violently within their control, because it's a violent, oppressive state of what is mine, what is my right, what my Bill of Rights suggests that I have the availability of having those rights. But it's then a coerced and forced duress to where it's not only staging me up to not only have those jobs, but hacking you stages you to where you can't get out of the hacking that's being displayed so that you can work gig apps, and then as your money is constantly going downward, right? Instead of you being on an upward spiral, you're in a downward spiral, and it's made to look like you're just spiraling out of control all on your own. So first off, I just wanted to say that I'm a homeowner that was placed into this place after a lot of strategy that was placed in my life, also with their coercive control to sabotage my finances. So in Stacy, Minnesota, for an example, I was poisoned by proxy, Jesse Lee, to establish coercive control in order for my brother to get involved in my cryptocurrency through trusting my brother would be a decent human being towards me, but he wasn't, and I wasn't able to see this at the time. I felt awkward based on like him basically forcing me to think like, if you're not gonna do this, I'm never gonna help you again. Well, fine, dude, I'll do this, but I really don't feel comfortable with how you're acting about this. You're saying that this is the way that is going to be able to, in 5-6 months time, be able to go out to any place and buy any car I want. So there's the coercion, there's the manipulation, however you want to say it, but it's both. It's manipulation, it's coercion, it's poisoning, so that I can't really reason well through what's happening to me. But that was being used so he could gain access to my computer, moving this money around, recording the IP addresses on a virtual private network so that he could record the exact IP address, the time and date that money was moved onto the blockchain, where the blockchain never forgets, so that he could go back in and take away that value, putting up putting it into a DeFi that just doesn't exist, a decentralized finance, or however you want to say it, DeFi, DEFI. So it was to stage it to where it would be taking away all of that money from me before then putting me into the house in St. Paul Park where Jesse came up and got involved to poison me by design, which I explained in my hour-long message, this last message that I put out online, where he literally, I hadn't had a home-cooked meal in a long time, and I thought he was my friend. I'm coming out of the bathroom, and he's like reaching over, like very out of the side sight of my sight there. Thought I saw him poisoning my food, and that's legitimately how it set in to me. So I was all like, I think that we should just switch plates. And he's like, oh, well, that I'm not going to eat, or what? I don't know what was exactly said, but it was basically like him coercing me and manipulating me to say, no, dude, there's nothing wrong with your food. I wouldn't do anything like that to your food. Well, 20 minutes later, I had already forgotten about what had happened because I'm eating the food that's poisoned. And then the next day I'm calling out sick, I think like 2 days in a row or something like that, from working at strong facilities. And so hopefully I can get strong facilities to suggest and at least give these people like the times I was sick, his thought process behind it, because I didn't have my own normal thought process, you see? Because a normal thought process isn't a thought process being unwittingly poisoned by their affairs that they're taking inside of my life. The next thing I had was my own brother coming in there around Christmas time, stirring something in a Metamucil to suggest make sure to take all of this, and the same things happened. I almost legitimately died inside of that St. Paul Park house, and he gets mad at me that I'm not taking the whole thing. I'm not going to take something that's making me feel like I'm ghosting out of myself, I said. Literally like unconscious, going unconscious. I'm not going to do this anymore. This has been happening to me too much. I'm trying to take back control of my life, and my efforts have been non-stop inside of this grind where I'm being placed in a covert warfare. Look, I either have your back or I don't have your back, but I'm not going to take something, and if it means that much to you, I'll pay you the $13.95 or whatever it costed for your stupid Metamucil by design to hurt me in the worst ways. Because what happens when you mix that a highly toxic metal such as arsenic, which I think it was, inside of Metamucil, is it'll stop you legitimately from being able to go. And if you're stopped, and it's literally like a cement inside of your intestines that you literally can't go, you literally can't get out, you're dead. You're fucking dead. So it was illegal sabotage, basically, then, to then put me up into this house where my original thought of mind would have told me, you don't want to be moving here. You don't want to be anywhere near Jesse. You haven't even wanted to be near Jesse since you were 17. But you just forget these things based on a very cold and calculated poisoning, you dig? And so it was all being made and coerced with the intent of sabotaging me, my income, my home life, my love life, my work life, and inserting this proxy relationship of Aurelia in my life as a lady friend to get closer to me than these people otherwise could, in order to establish the availability of me not being able to see where the hacking was coming from and where they were contributing together to poison me, being that my man friend couldn't get to me as often as he would need be, because it would stage for a situation for me to know. Give me 1 second. So, because they're controlling my life in that fashion, sabotaging my relationships, sabotaging my relationship with my boss, sabotaging my work life, sabotaging my even inserting coworkers, I believe, into positions that I had, much like I believe Stephen Meyer was, being as covert of an operator as he was to work up this campaign over my life. And then my own friend, supposed friend, quote unquote friend, Jesse Lee, couldn't continue to come into my vicinity to continue poisoning me because it would have just been too obvious. It would have been too obvious, I believe, because he had been trying to poison me since I was a kid. Since I was like 17, And so this was all set up by proxy, being that my dad is a complete fuckface. Or what, and I believe it was wholeheartedly that, but it's like one of the hardest things to actually prove, other than stating what I witnessed as a kid, being that my dad was a fucking rapist. And being that these brothers of mine got introduced into this type of business to be psychologically completely fucked, because if I had any more time with my dad growing up, I know far well that I would have been fucked. Just completely, just whatever. It's just the way that it works, and especially when you're at that young of an age, is it works like a demonology being placed inside of your life where you can't get away from these people. And then moving out here was to place me physically inside of a situation that was then being made to continue the hacking, continue the identity theft, stage up my life where I wouldn't be able to make my ends meet by proxy warfaring my life and job after job that it's already been. But in this job, it was to stake claims away at my performance ability inside of a workplace yet again. So obviously I'm being retaliated against without even realizing it, because I'm being covertly poisoned. And so they're working on my life. They're like legitimately hacking me to prevent me from working, and then they're going to work hard on my life. These are multiple felony accounts, and they're trying to make me a felon for the felonies that already exist. They are really hard to prove, mind you, but that's also why I'm staging up these videos to say as well that my potential availability of myself, or to work, or of anything, of any kind of work or any kind of thing that I could do to even try to see something that I wasn't able to see at the time. But not only that, they have stolen my ability to work. So it did affect my performance skills. It did affect my work and my workmanship and my craft. It did make me smell bad to detox from these highly toxic metals, where no employer would want to keep that person around. You're like running around like a rat poisoned victim, but you can't see it to suggest it to anybody. You're just like faced up with your abilities being like, you can hardly speak these things to these people, and then you want to basically be able to figure out a way around whatever is happening to you so that you can keep your job. You just got out of homelessness and fighting these proxy warfare artists from before, which were Emily Dodge and Ryan McDonald and Jesse Lee and these and my own brothers, on top of other players that I believe are coerced within the system itself, or are very coercive to be controlling in my life within the system itself. And so, give me a second here, I'll be right back. So, to carry on here, sorry it took me a second there, thank you for staying. I really feel that there's things that have been misrepresenting not only my abilities with my workmanship and my abilities to perform in jobs, but it's also an identity theft that's working for total erasure to save their faces from the crimes of multiple crimes, to poison me by this design. I've been being poisoned since I was a kid, and I even have a text message from my brother admitting to the poisoning of me, that he was sorry I had to find out like this. But they're also working with these clear concentrated efforts to make me the victim, the criminal. You see what I mean? To save the faces of these actual crimes against me. Where I'm now suggesting and have been suggesting it would be nice for me to get a new name, a new social security number, and just somehow be able to get away from these people performing these crimes. So I feel like I'm going to have to get rid of my state-appointed attorney coming up here with this case. He's just not calling me back. And I don't know how to advocate for myself here because there's no pro bono lawyers that are just like a call away. It's not like it's been easy. But these people are working in this type of Freemasonry, occultist's design, or however you want to suggest it, legitimately creating this warfare in my life to coercively create the control, coercively create the violence, and it's just manipulating me into a state of duress. And when one person is in duress, it means that every one of you should be also in duress for that person. That's like legitimately what it is. It's manipulation to make you move different that's causing you to be in duress. If you're able to live your organic life in your original self and you're not being poisoned and you're not in duress, that's one thing. But it's a whole other thing when it's created by a design in order to even take it to the levels of mentioning these things to the police, where then the police are as well utilizing these crimes of identity theft to as well target me and retaliate me further to make it look like I'm just unstable on my own or have this instability on my own, where I know for myself and others I believe out here can see clear through the facts, as though if these things weren't happening to me I would still be working. I'm a really hard worker. I'm really diligent with my work. I care about my work. I work really hard. I'm not someone that's an employer couldn't trust. You know what I'm saying? To work and to work hard, because I kind of like working. And so it's taken away my own availability of myself, even after staging me against my own performance against my life, which did go directly in counter action against me from being able to be a person of my own accord, to again get away from these people, get away from these crimes, and to be able to move inside of my life in a fashion that would allow me to live my own life. And so I'm working in this fashion now to speak out, because my work has been destroyed. My life has literally been destroyed. My even choosing and willingness to perform in jobs have been destroyed. My home life has been destroyed. Like, I wouldn't have paid for this home if I was able to physically see the crimes that were being created over me as to what they were, even in short seconds, before just completely losing my memory of what they were. Losing the memory of Jesse putting something in my food. Losing the memory of seeing Kenny stir something into the Metamucil and taking it twice and almost freaking dying. And not only that, ever since then I've had health problems with my gut biome. And so I'm literally put in a situation where now that I'm mentioning these things to the police, and literally had mentioned things to the FBI, literally mentioning things to all advocates of Congress that I could email to and find the emails to. I've written all the journalists I can find within all the news stations I can find. I've written identitytheft.gov. I've put in a case. I have a case with identitytheft.gov. I have contacted the FBI. I've written the police. I've made many reports against what's happening to me. And instead of them performing any kind of way in order to establish a directional change for me in a positive, they pull me over and utilize the duress that I'm in to then stage me up as a felon against the greater judgment of knowing that without all these crimes, I wouldn't have a suspended license. My child support would be paid. These things were being paid, and I had no problem paying them. The problem is that when you're put into a situation where the your workmanship is being denied, you're being let go of, you're on a gig app community, and your phones are being hacked, you're being literally like within this gridlock of a spyware type of situation where they can GPS you, monitor your location, harass you, get in the way of you to get out from under. And then it's these communities, just like, I don't have to mention the gig apps, but it's like DoorDash. Basically the same thing that happened in Stacy, like on repeat in my life. And then on top of that, even trying to work for somebody else for cash, it seems police get in the way of that as well, to try and stage up for a situation to make me look like a vulnerable or a vulnerable made person to not be able to suggestively help somebody with their, with what they have going on. You see what I mean? When I have all of these other things going on in my life. So say if I was to find another job, get another place to hire me, not having your now because of the identity theft, not having your license, your child support paid, now they're trying to come after my license to then also have my car repoed, which takes away my availability of performance, taking away any job, anything that I could do, to leave me right back at square one, where I was trying to get out of homelessness, pushing me right back into homelessness, pushing me right back into the situation that I've fought so hard to get out of. I'm talking 150 hours a week at times to get out from under the covert attacks that were being placed upon me. Mind you, I had to pay the illegal actions of the system before, so I was thinking, I not only have to work to pay these bills, I have to work for myself to get the food money and the costs that I need to continue my grind, and I have to pay the illegality of there being a setup after a setup after a setup after a setup, creating four tickets that in law day working for myself to like try and figure out how to get through these things to get them off of my record. It was pay it all if you want to get it all off of your record. Well, they know you're homeless, they know you're hurting, they know you're going to take that plea deal. And so that plea deal was like, we'll drop it down to, I think it was like $150 or something like that. Take care of it all right now, but it's going to go on your record, you see. And I'm like, well, that kind of defeats the purpose, because what had happened to me is absolutely illegal. And then there's no accountability. You're just nothing further to see here, nothing being done. You weren't set up, and this wasn't like a campaign against you or anything like that. No. Obviously it was, but it's taking away my stability to then make the crime itself of identity theft able to then pull me over, cause me another ticket, make it a felony case on top of a felony case that they're already trying to take from me suggesting how I would swing a cup in a certain way and whatever, coming out of a long-standing poisoning, just unable to think things through, you know what I'm saying? But the fact of the matter is that that's not what I would have wanted to do, and that's not even entailing what my actual modus of operandi would be. My modus of operandi would be getting a new name, getting away from these covert abusers, and starting fresh. but they're not even allowing me this. You see what I mean? They're not allowing me a job. They're not allowing me to get away. They're not allowing me to work. They're not allowing me to keep what I have. They're not allowing me to work in a fashion of actually being able to get away from these people, to suggest that I can actually do something for myself for a change and actually work up my own mission for myself. So it's taken away my rights to then perform in this way over my life without me being able to work my own organic or original self, while also leaving me without sound mind at times to know these things. And then now that I'm able to know these things, the retaliation against me is obvious online. They're like taking I'm one savvy ninja with the number one, and they literally took all of my information, clipped up my work, and made it one, the spelt out version of one savvy ninja, to suggest that they can hack me, take me away, and say, see, look at who he is. Like, taking away, like, what, 99.996% of my content, and just making that little tiny fucking sliver of the content as though I'm some criminal? Like, make this make sense, G. It does not make sense at all. Not at all. It's completely a hideous crime that's happening to me, where it's not making me feel too comfortable knowing that I can't even suggest things to identitytheft.gov to then investigate a crime of the instability that they're making over my life to continue carrying me through the abuses, targeting me, retaliating against me, even for finding out about their crimes, as if it's not being a stage being used to play up against me in their own involvement. Their own involvement. And the reason I say that is because inside of my home growing up, it would be me coming back home, and there would be cops coming out of my home without any warrant, no right to fucking be there, nobody else home. Like, how in the world do you fight that? How in the fuck do you suggest fighting that? And my mom can attest for that happening to her, where she had to like legitimately go to a neighbor's house. And it's just, it's a crime. It's absolutely a crime. Just as much as it's a crime to stage up an accident, where I was in Blaine, having the cop shut off his body camera. You didn't even get a report from me, sir. You're not done here. I'm legitimately waiting for you to come over to me to talk to me on camera. Like, turn your body camera back on, buddy. Oh no, we're done here. It's over. No, you're not. You are absolutely not done here. So, all of a sudden they're just making legality for them own selves to just be able to come up into people's homes without a warrant, simply because they're police officers, and they can just work in this illegal fashion, right? Oh, okay, that's really making me feel real swell. So it puts me and my mom inside of the abuses in a very hard-pressed fashion, because when you're right and your government is wrong, you're in a very vicarious, dangerous place, my friend. It's coercive violence. That's exactly what it is. It's a violent oppression to place you in that type of duress. So yeah, me just suggesting I want a new name, a new social security, my availability to get away from these people is what I should be getting, is what I should get, so that I can actually move away from these covert operations. But they're instead taking what I'm saying online as though I'm a criminal. Again, needing to indemnify their own crimes, their own people, this syndicate of very abusive powers through these ties, to simply protect their own faces from ever being discovered by other people within the community, and especially not with any legal standing authorities, because I'm trying to find them. I'm legitimately trying to find them. I'm trying to find avenues of resource. I'm trying to find the FBI. I'm trying to find a specific person I can talk to that I, believe in with their content online, seems to care about these things. I am legitimately contacting the Attorney General because they care supposedly about other murders. But where do people care about premeditated murder, premeditative actions that are staging me up as far as the heaviest bureaucracy in America, all in suits and ties, and able to get away with crimes like this, as though people in their right mind can't even think to themselves that there's an availability of these people to work in this way against targets. There's not an avenue recommended to me throughout all of the time I've been online searching, all the time I've even had ChatGPT searching, because I thought to myself that, well, maybe if I can get artificial intelligence to suggest to me like an added 8 things to the one thing that I can think, that if I take not only that one thing but those other 8 avenues, well, maybe then I can get somewhere. It's like having a buddy helping you work to get 7/8 more places that you can contact, 7/8 more content that you can try and work on, 7/8 more of avenue and hope of trying to break through the algorithm. So now that I'm doing all of those things, and I'm still led to no example of like what I actually can do to fight this crime against me, it's much like that movie. I mean, way worse, but it's much like that movie 16 Blocks, where that kid that's like having a hard time speaking as well, which is kind of funny if you ask me. Now I think about it, because it's much like an arsenic poison that treats a person. But he was just trying to like legitimately get 16 blocks, and there was all these corrupt cops like literally trying to take this kid's life from him. And luckily he was able to find supporters to be able to like help him get there. And the system itself, like the place that he got to, actually cared. Where like nowadays it's like, who cares anywhere? Like anywhere. The courts are like legitimately treating me criminally. Not just making me a criminal for all the fucked up crimes over me, but they themselves are treating me criminally. I was even suggested that by the stenographer, like with my license before being taken away over a $5 increase of my payment, and showing the cop right there and showing the judge right there, I've been paying. And my caseworker at the time suggested by a letter saying that at the time of him getting pulled over, if this page that I got was put in my inbox desk, your cop cars wouldn't have shown anything to do with the suspension by the time he was pulled over. So literally within that same like area of a day, they're like, oh, we're going to run game on this person. So that's where those 4 tickets then come into play. It's all set up. Every last little piece of it set up. So that's where they're working in, and I'm just legitimately trying to find my ways to speak out about these crimes, where I was hopefully going to be able to get the help out here somehow, regardless of the scenario, whether I'm right or wrong or seen as unstable, or whether it's an instability that's created coercively by design, or however it's happening. I'm being targeted, and I know I'm right about being targeted because I've been being poisoned since I was a baby, and I know for myself by getting away from these people and having floods of memories come back to me. Floods. Just like the dam broke and all of that memory came rushing in, leaving me flat to the ground just as much as the cyanide did. So I've been trying to be able to take it out here in a way that hopefully can get people to share within what's happening to me in these affairs, because I was anything other than being treated in an organic and original manner by my own partner that was supposed to be seen as an original organic partner. any original organic partner that you're legitimately saying, leave me alone, leave me the fuck alone, will leave you alone. They didn't have it within them to leave me alone. At all. For a long, long time. And at times I could see it and I was still asking them, leave me the fuck be. And then it's to suggest to this, to say to the system, do I not have the right to my own autonomy? Do I not have the right to my own autonomy of mind? My own agility of sound mind, self-control, to say to another person that I'm even dating, get the fuck away from me. Or what right do I have then if I can't do that? So these things have been continuing against me in order to continue poisoning me, continue psychologically affecting me in the worst ways imaginable, as you could imagine. And it was done, in my opinion, as a way to create such psychological harm that it was meant to create a suicidality in me, where, I mean, at times prior, that's almost what it would be like. You're blind to what's happening to you. You're murked out with a bunch of poisons. And you're being psychologically fucked with to these levels of like, what in the fuck, G? Why would you do all this stuff to hurt me? As though it's setting you up to be a depressed person. Oh, you just have depression. Just go out and put yourself on some pills. I don't have depression. I'm being oppressed. It has nothing to do with depression or my mental state of capacity of being able to be happy. Or reach for happiness, or just be a normal freaking kid to reach out for anything that's not in a very hidden, disguised, and covert fashion, to suggest that they're just creating a problem for me that was meant to create a problem that will just go and sort itself out. But if people don't see it that way, then it's just bullshit. Like, I don't care what kind of morsel of brain you have in your brain capacity. Because if you don't see it that way, that it would possibly create a suicidality in a person to psychologically affect someone so bad to poison them up and work up in their proxy warfare campaign against you to create these affairs specifically to push you out of yourself, as though it would create a suicidality. Well, I would take whatever pee you have left in your brain and just go, because it ain't worth a fucking thing. I mean, literally, if you can't think to that level, your brain isn't worth a shit. So, because these people were on complete bullshit working this way against me in this very occultist, satanic type of crime, and a way to sabotage my life simply for either being a Christian, wanting to move a different way, without any actual avenue of protection in me in America or anywhere around the world that I've reached out to, I just hope that I can get to the rightful party that can journal about this, that can suggest that I should have the right to my autonomy, that can get to the corrective action of the FBI, the government, identitytheft.gov, the police, or the system, or anywhere that I can enact, for the news to be available even to me to be able to tell my story, to take all that's meant to be here, to leave me diminished, going into court to make me out to be the fraudulently created felon out of me, out of the many, many felons that these people have done to me, and all to poison me up, leave me for dead, for crying out loud. Like, I had almost died. I know what it feels like now to have literally almost died because of like what these people are doing to me. Which a cyanide attack, like, come on, I'm lucky to fucking be alive. And then you literally going in for help about these things, and they're just denying you any kind of physical care at all, suggesting that everything you're saying is just all in your brain. the fuck, dude? Like, I don't have the right to, literally, like, I don't have the right to investigate my own life? Or what? Because I've been investigating it since I was 7 years old. Being led into these very abusive ways. And so the retaliation against me has just gotten so much worse. And it's overwhelming. And it makes sense that I'm exhausted to the point of being that it's like not only hard to articulate, but it's hard to actually find the right vocabulary in order to say it, to even suggest, help me. Help me. There should be civil rights concerns. There should be the availability of people's mental capacity to realize that there's continued retaliation here, and that my fears should be substantiated based on the multiple things that have happened. But if I can't even contact my lawyer, I have to figure out how to use the system that already exists to take up a real investigation and get stronger in legal help. But it's seemingly to me that I'm just being left without any resources whatsoever due to these very, very heaviest type of crimes that I believe personally is the heaviest of its type happening in America and is happening to me. I didn't want it. I didn't ask for it. I didn't ask to be poisoned up since I was a fucking baby. I didn't ask to be poisoned up by my dad. I didn't ask to be poisoned up by my brothers. I didn't ask to be poisoned up by Jesse. I didn't ask to be treated this way throughout my life. Just literally like looking for love. Love. And they're just pushing you off. And then they want to make, like Kenny's wife wants to make me out to be a special mental health patient. They could have taken me in, like was suggested. I could have gotten a job then. I could have been working anywhere, just in the littlest tiny shit shack apartment, and just okay with it, if I just had a little support system there. But it wasn't a little support system there. I had already had a psychological evaluation for the courts. They didn't need to put me in this hold illegally, holding me against my will, as was suggested by Hennepin County themselves, that they legitimately do not have the legal right now to be holding you against your will. So they went to bat for me. I got out, luckily, because that place, they make people insane. They literally like create avenues to make a person insane, look as insane as possible. It's just as narcissistic as this game's been over me. But anyway, I'm out of here. I just hope that I can request for somebody to actually care about what I'm going through out here, to just state if they've seen anything at all, like if you were around my house and you saw this scraggly looking rat looking motherfucker early in the morning or anywhere else in the day around my house, or coming around more than with me actually being with him, you did not belong here. Suggest that to the police. If you've seen anything, if you see anything, say something. If you've seen something, say something. If you think something, say something. If I worked with you, say something. If you were my boss or my owner that I worked for, say something. If you're Pat, say something. If you were anybody, please say something. I shouldn't even have to ask to this level, but I really am. And I've said it many times in my work now. Please write a letter to the police suggesting your thoughts as far as what's happened in my life. I need like 30 or 40 or 50 letters or anything I can get from people to help me. To help me. Help me get my life back. Help me get my mind back. Help me get my health back. Help me get me back. It is absolutely imperative to me right now, because otherwise they're taking everything away from me again. And this time I can see it for what it is, where before, multiple avenues, multiple times, I wasn't able to see it for what it was, and I'm just going through the motions. Going into the courts, going into domestic abuse classes, going into just whatever they want me to go through. But it's coercive control, it's coercive violence, and it's left me and led my life into a state of duress, which means, literally, that every single person out here should be caring. Not just the courts, not just the police, not just the sheriffs, but people in general. People that I've worked for, people that I've worked with. I've been coerced, controlled by a real finite design. Please help me. If you see something, say something. That's all I ask. If you saw Jesse Lee around, that scraggly looking rat motherfucker around my place, to perform or to be gaslighting me in my own home or anything out of the ordinary, please say something. This is an urgent matter. Thanks for being here. Thanks for supporting me in my content. I'll keep creating until I'm dead or get out of this and reach breakthrough and break through the algorithm that's out here to stop me from being able to have a life of my own accord at all. But I believe I should absolutely have that right now. I haven't been able to relax, and I've always been in survival mode since I was born. Since I was born, and that's no lie. Thanks for being here. I really appreciate your support in any way, shape, or form. Peace. I hope you guys are taking care of yourselves. I know I'm trying to.